this is why I never got down when we were losing those games. There was frustration there, but I never got down on this team, and that's why I kept saying it's there, because once they start clicking, this team's we're gonna be scary, and that's. I think that's the joy of seeing tonight. We put together a game plan. They stuck to it. Even when we had moments of, we threw the ball away a couple of times, but they stuck to the course of the plan, and we benefit from it. And it's a great win to come down here in Hamilton, and great to see the crowd come out like this. Like, it was great.
Speaking of scary, you've been high on the short wall all year, and then tonight. I mean, I know you guys see it in practice all the time, but tonight we saw it. For the first time without foul trouble.
Yeah.
And that's what he can do, right? He can dominate teams in this league.
I've been saying it for how long now? If he stays in the game, he's probably the best big in the league, and that's how I look at him. Every single time in training, he dominated. He dominated training. Was it yesterday? Mm-hmm. He dominated training. So it doesn't shock me that he put this performance together. And he's a talented kid, man. And what he's doing is he's just growing and maturing a lot every week. And the more he understands of leaving the officials alone with certain calls and things like that, it gets better and better. And that's where his performance has been.
He seems very measured at the moment, like you said about those foul calls. And it's almost like he's being officiated the way he's actually playing, opposed to just kind of calling every time he goes up, that we mentioned earlier on in the season. Do you just feel like the team just totally feed off that kind of performance when they're like, you come out and put 26 points up like that?
I just think for this team, there's no one person that's going to lead us to the promised land. Like, it's going to be a collective effort. And I think everyone is starting to understand their role a little bit. I think they're all starting to understand what each other's strengths are on the court. And, I think Amani, talk about Amani, I think one of the things he did great, we put a defense in 10 days ago, and he led us on that today. And when he came in, the energy he played with, I mean, that stuff, is starting to be contagious when you see it in training. So I just feel like, Sean can have his 26 points, and he won't think nothing of it. But as a group, I think what we're doing is we're pushing the ball. I don't know how many dunks he had. When he's getting dunks, they're assisted a lot. So that's where I think the group is getting better at.
Just pushing the ball, how you kind of always imagine, outrunning teams. First time playing the Hawks, and this part of the season, kind of almost looking forward to after playing those top three teams a couple of times.
Yep.
Now we're heading to Adelaide. Do you kind of feel in good momentum for this?
I feel like Adelaide play a style which we are going to play at as well. It's going to be who can last them the longest. I think, who has more depth, who's willing to get more defensive stops. That's what it's going to come down to in Adelaide. And then we got 2 road games back-to-back over there. So one of the things I think that, these guys are really good at is the bonding has been a lot better. And I'm sure about yesterday came down to dinner, or was it lunch? I don't know what it was, and no one was on their phone, which shocked me. They were all talking to each other. That stuff is contagious, and it carries over to the floor. So I feel like once what we're doing now, and everyone will get a chance to get away, get with their families, have a little break, and then come back off of a win a little bit more fired up, a little bit more encouraged that we can go over and sweep them.
And Patrick, for you, you've got your family here for Christmas, and going home for a win, just like KB talking about here. Is that just going to keep carrying on for you think?
I mean, it definitely makes it better. We dropped 5 in a row, and we just found a way to pick 2 wins up. I think defensively, man, we really been locking in the last 3 games, holding teams to under 80, and before that we was giving up a lot of points. So I mean, that's a good thing, and then it was a collective effort tonight. We had like 4 or 5 players in double figures, and the style of play we played, it was just fun basketball. I know for the fans it probably was, but it was just fun to play, and we just had it going.
Yeah, and in practice, KB often talks about accountability. Do you kind of feel like everybody was making each other accountable on the court, not just on the sidelines as you're playing? I can see a lot of communication going on there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big part of this.
Yeah, for sure, man. He always talk about, like, guys, when we having good things and bad things, we got to keep huddling up and just talk about that play, and we got to move on quick, though. So I know tonight we did a great job of that. A lot of times we saw certain things, and the 5 guys on the floor and huddled up. Even when guys were on the bench and coming in, they were seeing stuff, and we communicated really well. Even when we had those, those bad patches, we just stayed locked in and stayed with the game plan, and it worked.
And And KB, you said, hey, if we can score 20 points every quarter, we can win games.
Yep.
That's what happened tonight.
Well, the big thing is if you can actually hold a team under 80, you're going to have a good chance, and especially Adelaide, the way that they, or Illawarra, the way that they like to play. You know, they like to play to get up and down. So with this, you know your pace is going to increase, but it's can you stop them? It's the same thing with Adelaide. You know, can you stop them? And all I think is, on the back of what Pat said about guys coming in from the bench and stuff like that, that's called chemistry. And that's something I've spoken about from day one all the way till now. When your chemistry starts to form, and it's easy to do it when you're winning, but I think this team took adversity, faced it, and now we're starting to see a group start to be, not instead of being divided, start to come together. So it's getting there.
What do you kind of want to say to the fans that do support you? And we've got 14 games left still. We're only halfway. How do you feel playoff chances after kind of being in a hole a little bit?
I'm going to be honest. I don't even. That's a goal of every team that signs up to come down here and play. But my thing is to take it game by game. You know, if this team can keep improving game by game, you know, not have the mental lapses. We haven't had those as much. You know, we had one in Cairns in the third quarter, and we bounced back from it in the fourth quarter. So I think if this team can keep coming together closer and closer, can keep sticking together. We're probably going to have our first team bonding session over here in Adelaide, so we may be even better after we get from Adelaide. So, you know, I want to, number one, thank the fans who are true fans and true supporters of this club and, you know, sticking there when those hard times are there. I mean, we weren't getting blown out by the top three teams, and those top three teams are top three for a reason. And I feel like we're right there to compete with those guys. Now, playing the other teams and getting these wins, well, now we'll figure out how to beat them. And when in those crucial situations, we'll have our backs ready to compete with that.
Cam, you mentioned culture, and we know you're a big part of it. I think we the old man in the post-game interview. Is that something you consciously bring to the club?
Yeah, always, man. I mean, I'm about to just turn 29, so I'm not old, but I walk around like I'm old a little bit. They always joke with me, but man, I'm one of them guys, man. I'm always in everybody's ear. I mean, I might not even have a good night, but I'm always locked into the game, regardless if I'm doing well or not. You know, if I'm on the bench or on the court. Like tonight, I couldn't really bar a shot, but I just stayed locked in, and the guys are always in my ear, man. Keep shooting, man. I mean, that's what you do. So keep shooting, stay in, and then I got to dunk. Like, you know, that's not so normal for me, you know. But I mean, it's fun, man. I like playing with these guys, and we just trying to continue to build on this 2-game winning streak, and now we go to Adelaide, you know, for 2 tough games.
That whole thing, and Armani's stuff in the stat sheet today illustrates the point, hey? Back in your day, when the imports came in, they were the superstars of the team, and now they play different roles. You know, some of them are superstars, of course, but some of them sort of blend into a team in a different way. It's changed a wee bit, eh?
Here, you think when I came down here, and I say this both years, Andre Lamanis was the coach. I think I said this to you. We had lost 9 games in a row before I got here. 9 games in a row. Then we won the last 6 out of 7. I signed a contract with someone else, and then I came back down here because I loved being around this group. With that in mind, coming back, we knew we were championship contenders at that point because the chemistry was there. I knew my role. In Europe, I scored a lot of points all through my career, but when I came down here, I sacrificed a lot because our group was good. Because we had Kirk Penny, C.J. Bruton, you know, C.J. Bruton, who's won titles. You had a lot of leadership on that team. Paul Henare, Dylan Boucher, Mika Vakona, myself, so many leaders. We were willing to accept a role for what we were trying to get to. These guys are still young. So you got to think of the imports we have. They're still trying to make a name. Some of them are still trying to make a name for themselves right now. It takes time to understand that type of culture, what this club is about, those type of things. And when we do, that's why I keep saying it's gonna be scary. Like, he can have a bad night and I'm still shoot it. It's okay. You know, Amani didn't play a whole lot last game. And me and Amani was like banging heads on the bench. But it was okay. Because after the game I went straight to him. You know, I understand your frustration. And that's why I made it in my mind, and if everything went to plan, have him out there playing and put him in position where he can be well. And he did well tonight. And that was something that he showed us where that's something that we're going to build on right now, you know, and that's where I feel this group is still learning. And you don't want to peak too high, which some teams probably have already. You know, you want to be building. And in middle of January, going into February, you want to be right here. And that's where I think this group will be.